has hits on hits, honey. Hits on hits.
He don't miss.
It's him, Chris Brown. That can be you.
I know it, but I can't think of the name of the song. I don't know why.
I don't know either.
Welcome back.
It's Blue, baby.
And it's Olivia Dope.
You're now listening to the Blue Dope Podcast, episode 10 for Liv. We made it, double digits. And we had some bangers.
Look, no lies told. And honestly, this is just the beginning.
I mean, the fun part is knowing we got so much more to come. So, Liv, who's up today for the Big 10?
I'm glad you asked. On today's show, we have fashion heavy hitter, fashion maven, Miss Fashion Bomb Daily herself, Claire Sulmers. And listen, when I tell you I frequent the website, the social media page, everything, this would be an understatement of all understatements. For well over 15 years, Claire and her team have been inspiring myself and many others. You know I live for a look.
Inner musings, you're definitely out here in all the latest fits. So let's not act like you're not seeing some of the fashion trends out here too, Liv.
Some slight.
When it comes to Claire, my wife put me on years ago. She's on that same fashion wave. I mean, yeah, Claire blessed us with that real talk hours before hopping on a flight to...
Don't be giving it all away. Let Miss Sulmers speak for herself. Not that she needs my permission.
Most def. So without any further ado, Claire Sulmers, y'all. What's up, y'all? So firstly, we are elated to have Claire Sulmers, the creator of Fashion Bomb Daily, the OG of fashion bloggers, running strong since 2006. Claire, how are you feeling?
I'm wonderful. The last name is Sulmers. A lot of people put an N in there, but just thought I'd dip that in. Sulmers. Okay. So great to be here.
Happy International Women's Month, ladies.
Thank you. Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Okay, so here on Blue Dope, we speak about journeys. So let's take it all the way back. Growing up in Atlanta, what was your first fashion influence? Can you think of a time? Can you think of a moment? Can you think of a particular situation, something you've seen on television, magazine, that you said, this is something?
Well, I grew up, my family is in fashion. My mother went to the High School of Fashion Industries. My grandfather was a tailor in Nassau, Bahamas. Wow. He had his own shop called Boog's Master's Touch. He made suits for weddings, for special occasions. And so the whole fashion thing is definitely in my blood. And my paternal grandfather, he owned a furniture shop. And so this whole entrepreneurial fashion thing has always been a part of my life. And I can remember begging my mom to make me clothes or begging her to teach me how to sew. She says that when I was 12, 13, I was developed, I was curvy, and she could only find clothes that fit me that were intended for older women. And so she made clothes for me that were appropriate for a girl of my age. So the whole fashion thing has always been around, always been an influence. So I say I get it from my mama. Mm-hmm. But aside from that, films like Clueless, of course, I was obsessed with Clueless. And I love it to this day. Cher's wardrobe is sick. I'm actually wearing a look tomorrow that's very, very Clueless inspired. But I think that's when my personal style definitely took a shift, and I was wearing the plaid jacket with the plaid skirt and the Mary Janes with the socks up high. Yeah. Clueless for me is still one of my favorite movies of all time.
So. Wow. Same here.
Now, it sounds like definitely the movie's influence. Now, outside of that, I would say the Atlanta music scene has always had a very unique style when it came to fashion. So whether it was the crisscrosses, the TLCs, Tuxedos, and Andre 3000. So, I mean, with that said, did you love seeing that growing up, or did it make you cringe at some points.
That's funny that you asked that. Atlanta, the Atlanta that you guys see now is not the Atlanta that I grew up in.
Right.
When I grew up in Atlanta in the 90s, it was, we were popping, things were going on, but you would go to Lenox Mall, which is still a huge stomping ground, and you would see Jermaine Dupri and Phipps. You would see TLC just walking around the mall, like shopping. You would see, like, I've met Usher before in Foot Locker, and they were just around. And this was before reality TV. This was before kind of Atlanta was really on the scene and people were really paying attention. And now I think the Atlanta of people's imagination is a little tacky, a little label heavy. I appreciate Atlanta style, but you know what people say when they're like, oh, that's very Atlanta. And by very Atlanta, it means they're not about the subtlety. If you're spending $2,000 to $5,000 on an outfit, you want people to know. So the logo is there. And you have the Chanel pin. You have something where people just
billboards.
You have something where people know that you have money and you spent that money on your outfit. But growing up, I would say that Atlanta was probably a little bit more creative. Okay. And Outkast, if you look back at the Outkast videos and the concepts that they had, like Bombs Over Baghdad or I Like the Way You Move, like those were so unique and individual and inspiring. Usher too. Usher had his own swag, and I definitely feel that Atlanta has its own swag, and it's shifted. But I think all the shifts that's happened in Atlanta are all good, and Atlanta's blowing up. So
I mean, as soon as you said like big logos, I automatically thought of CeeLo Green and like that Dungeon Family video where he's wearing like almost a Gucci dress in the subway. Like that's what pops into my head. But
yeah, but I love it. I love Atlanta, and I hope that people who read Fashion Bomb Daily can see that how much love I show to my city. I've been in New York for 15 years. I lived in Paris for 2 years. I've been all over the world, obviously. And so I want, when people look at Fashion Bomb Daily, to understand that we are global, we are cultured. We acknowledge the Keisha Kayors and Gucci Manes. We acknowledge, who can I think of else from Atlanta? The Toyas and Marlos and all those people, even the City Girls, they're not from Atlanta, but you get what I'm saying. We acknowledge the South. We show love to the South because we know the South has it going on, but they don't always get the recognition.
Yeah. And I mean, let's talk Paris, right? I went to Paris for the first time a few years ago. And I honestly, at first, I thought it was a little overrated. But then I realized that I honestly did. And, but I'll say after going to some of the exhibits and, seeing Mona Lisa, I caught a Basquiat exhibit, which really, what it did for me is it had my creative juices just flowing heavily. So with that said, how did Paris impact you and your creative process?
Paris is historically known as a capital of fashion. It's also historically known as a place where Black creatives are able to thrive in their careers in a way that they were not able to in their native land. And that's been the case for Josephine Baker. It was the case for James Baldwin. And I found that was, not that I'm on that level by any means, but I found that was the case for me. I moved to Paris because I was working at a magazine. I was not in the fashion department. I had aspirations to work in fashion. By that time, Fashion Bomb Daily was 3 or 4 years old. And it had gotten to the point where I still had my full-time job and I was getting recognized on the train. And it was getting a little uncomfortable. And so I wasn't like blown up now, but it was starting to be like, wow, it's going to be really hard for me to continue doing my 9 to 5 when I have people fanning out on the train for me. And so I decided, I asked around in my job. I was like, I want to work in the fashion department. At the time, I probably dressed like a chic lawyer. I think one of my coworkers said that about me. But for whatever reason, I was not getting any headway getting into the fashion department in the magazine where I worked. I applied to Vogue, all of the fashion magazines you could think of, and I just got rejection after rejection. And we've seen now that was, Vogue admitted that they did not admit talented writers of color now, but back then I was like, what's going on? Anyway, I had a degree in French and African American studies from Harvard and this dream of always living abroad. And so I was like, let me quit my job, move to Paris and try to break into fashion that way. And it was not easy at all. I didn't save up. I was broke, ... Every artist probably has the same story, but Paris did give me a chance to participate in that fashion dream. And it was one editor named Karine Rothfeld. She's extremely famous. She was the editor-in-chief of Paris Vogue at that time. Now she has her own magazine called CR Fashion Book. But I remember it was actually surrounding
fashion book.
Yeah. And I remember there was a racist incident with Paris Vogue with blackface. This was something that fashion magazines, they had like a trend of doing blackface and offending Black people for like a 4-year or even longer. And there was a huge uproar, and I wrote her and I was like, I'm a Black American living in Paris. I speak French fluently. I want to help diversify. And she gave me a chance. And so long story short, Paris is where I was finally able to get my foot in the door. It was not perfect. I was making 500 euros a month. I was living on a tub, which is a whole nother story, only for 2 months. But I got to a point where I was not homeless, but basically living in a friend's apartment and staying in her spare room, which happened to be a bathtub. But anyway, yeah, I really went for it. But because there's a phrase that Denzel Washington said, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. And because I was in Paris, I was able to go to a Jean-Paul Gaultier show, go to the Chanel show. I was freelancing for AOL Black Voices at the time. I guess Chanel probably only saw AOL. So while I was sleeping on the tub, I was going to my first Chanel show or the YSL show. So I was in the one of the birthplaces of fashion and able to enjoy those experiences. I met Pharrell. I met all these different people, and all of that helped. Of course, I was writing for my blog on the side, but by the end of my time in Paris, just because of my diverse experiences, I was able to finally figure out how to live full time for my blog, and the rest is history.
Amazing. Amazing.
Wow. Is that a long story or what?
And see, here's the thing. I've known Claire for several years now. We've known each other so to hear this story from you, it's like I'm learning like a new part. I mean, clearly I'm learning a new part of you, but it's just, that's a real story. I mean, and a lot of people don't realize, beyond the Instagram posts of you looking absolutely fabulous, there is a person behind that has to work hard to get where she, especially as a Black woman. So with that being said, Paris Claire, Harvard Claire, in comparison to who you are now, let me put it this way. What would Claire interning and working in Paris say to you today?
What would that Claire say to me?
Yeah.
The old Claire would tell the new Claire, you're the GOAT. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen,
you're an inspiration. I remember when I was interning at Paris Vogue and I was looking at a pair of, I think they were Comme des Garçons Converse sneakers, probably like $130. And I wanted these sneakers because they were fashionable, yes. But part of my job at Paris Vogue, because I wasn't a native French speaker, they would send me out in the afternoons with a camera around my neck, and I would basically be the sartorialist for Paris Vogue, but not with the same eye and not with the same skill set. But these articles with the street, they call them street look, but the street style were always very well read. And I just remember expressing to my editor at the time how much I wanted these shoes. And he was like, well, go out and get them. And I didn't even know how to tell him, like, there's no way I could afford these shoes. I make 500 euros a month. So that is, a significant portion of my monthly take home. So no, buying a pair of $100 shoes is not possible. And going from there and setting like these small goals that I set, and I won't even talk numbers because it doesn't matter, really, but I would set these small goals and be like, okay, if I could just make this much and I'll be okay. And my goal at the time was to live full time for my blog, to make X amount of dollars per year. And obviously, before I worked at Paris Vogue, that was one of my goals. But to just see myself continue to knock out these goals one by one, by the grace of God, all glory to God. I always have to give glory to God. But to knock out these goals one by one, and then to see where I am today, and to know that like anything is really possible. Anything, like I said, I slept on a tub. I'm not exaggerating. I actually slept on a tub, and I had 4 roommates, and sometimes would borrow a little food from her because I didn't have money to buy food sometimes, and to go from that to, being invited to these runway shows and shopping at luxury stores, or just bottom line, being able to live, not just survive, but like thrive from this passion of mine has truly been a testament to the power of faith and determination, and just God's grace. So,
I mean, were you even in Paris, or was this tub in like Clichy, like?
Oh, no, I wasn't. Well, actually, you know what? It was in the 19th arrondissement. So it was kind of outside of Paris proper. We were by the Sacré-Cœur. Okay. But what's interesting about that is I was on the tub probably for 2 months, and then one of the roommates moved out, and I had been able to save up. So I moved into her room, which was like a proper room with the door closed. And then afterwards, it was my last summer in Paris. A young Black socialite, she came to Paris and she had a roommate. The roommate dropped out because they didn't get the proper paperwork. But this socialite's family, they were like, we just need somebody who can stay with her. And, whatever you can pay is fine. So I went from sleeping on a tub to staying in the first arrondissement, right by the Seine, one of the nicest apartments I've ever seen. And, by the end of that summer, as I said before, I was making enough money to live full time from Fashion Bomb Daily. So everything happened as it should. And one thing, I'm not sure of your audience, but, for anybody who's listening, who needs a bit of inspiration, I would say that, a lot of people are afraid of those low points, and you really have to dig in and think about how much does this mean to you? Like, how passionate are you about this? And are you really committed to going down to rock bottom, and just having faith in yourself and in your work ethic and in this assignment that God has placed on your heart, but have enough faith in yourself that you can actually do it. And I know a lot of people would probably have quit if they were on a tub. And my mom had suggested that I come home. Like, she was like, what are you doing? Just come home. And I was like, no, I need to just stay here and tough it out. And I did. And it paid off.
Yeah. And tremendously. That's what faith is. That's literally what faith is. Having that faith in God and that faith in yourself to understand and realize, like, you got this. Yeah. One of the things I have my story is a little similar but different in terms of having those low moments of, not having a proper place to sleep. And in those low moments, I used to tell myself, this will be a great story to tell Oprah one day. That was that was my thing. Yeah. Every time I'm in a low moment, you know what? When Oprah hears this part, she's going to be like, what? Yeah. Literally like with Meghan Markle. What?
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times you have plans, like you make plans and God laughs. So my goal was to work at Vogue, American Vogue, preferably. Then I got my internship at Paris Vogue, and I I was there for maybe 6 months and I wanted to stay in Paris. I loved Paris, but I didn't get hired. And what I'm doing now is so much more fulfilling. I'm making so much more than I ever would have as a staff writer for any magazine at this point. And now we see magazines are dying. Right. And now, you know, thanks to the digital revolution and this, everything tech, like everything is tech, everything is online now. So it's kind of like right place, right time, and just trust your journey. You might get discouraged because you really wanted this thing and, you know, people are telling you no and you don't get it, but God might have even greater plans for you. Right. And my faith is such a huge part of everything that I do. And so it's really hard for me to talk about it without bringing that into it.
Of course. You know, it's favor.
Yeah. If I did not have faith, I would not be here. And I do consider myself to be blessed, which is why I give glory all the time.
100%. And now you definitely started Fashion Bomb Daily when it wasn't a thing to see Black fashion online. It sounds like you kind of snuck in, right, by being able to go to those different fashion events and runway shows. But, you know, at the point where you started to put yourself out there, did you really get a warm welcome into the industry? Or how tough was that experience with you really being one of the first to bring Black fashion online in the way you did?
No, and I think that, you know, Meghan Markle is a great example of what all Black women deal with. You know, you can be everything. You can be everything. You can do everything right. And you can go over and above and you're still Black, you know, at the end of the day. And they will, and it's really, I don't want to sound pessimistic and I don't want to act like there aren't great people of multicultural people from other races and cultures who get the diversity and inclusion thing and who are advocates for it. But we have seen the movement last year and this year, incidents with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor that have thrust a light on iniquities in our culture in general, but specifically in the fashion industry. And the fashion industry has a serious problem. They have a serious problem. And I've never felt fully embraced, but I have felt fully embraced by the people who follow Fashion Bomb Daily, all the various celebrities. And there are so many people in my community, our community, and our extended community who get it. And those are the people and those are the designers who fulfill me and who I feel most fulfilled by. And if the fashion industry never gives me my flowers, that's okay, as long as I have inspired one person, touch one person, help one person scale their business. I feel like I've completed my assignment here.
With Fashion Bomb Daily, what would you say is or was a defining moment for Fashion Bomb Daily history? The moment that you're like, okay, we have arrived.
I get asked that a lot. There's so many. I think hitting 1 million is awesome. Every new follower we get is great. Getting acknowledged by people like Diddy, having someone like Kamorley Simmons say she reads the blog and she loves it. Rihanna saying that she's watched all my videos. They're just... Anytime a celebrity steps in and comments, from Kourtney Kardashian to Cardi B to Khloe Kardashian, the list goes on and on and on in terms of times when I'm just stunned that we have this platform and that people actually rock with it and respect it.
And I mean, not only are you featuring celebrities and behind the scenes fashion professionals, but really on all of your sites, we do see a lot of Claire mixed in. So I want to, we love it, right? But I want to ask, how draining is it to always be in front of the camera for your own photo shoots?
It's not that draining. I think, there's perception and reality. And the other day on my Insta story, I was up at 12:30. I had just come home after the Meghan Markle interview and we had found out who she was wearing, because that's what we do. And It was on, was that a Saturday or Sunday? I can't remember. Sunday, right. Mm-hmm. And my team is amazing. They update every single day. But obviously you can't expect somebody who works for you to update your website or your Facebook or whatever at 12:30 on a Sunday, 12:30 a.m. on a Sunday/Monday. And so that is really the reality for me. Most of the time I'm in my glasses, some loungewear, leisure wear, and I am working. And the photos that you see, they are true to life. I'm not, making up an alternative life, but it's probably 2 to 3 days a week that I get all gussied up, whether it's for a sponsored post or to hang out with friends or to do whatever, to just run back and forth to the city. I've become this influencer person who takes photos kind of not out of necessity, but to just strengthen the brand. I noticed that a lot of bloggers a lot of my colleagues are getting a lot more opportunities to say sit row at shows or get access to different designers if they were the faces of their brand. And so even though I am probably an introvert or, more leaning towards an introvert, I forced myself to step outside of my comfort zone and open myself up to criticism, open myself up to likes and dislikes, open myself up to so much just for the sake of strengthening the overall Fashion Bomb brand. And it's paid off well. But, at most times during the week, I am a huge dork and not glammed up or anything at all.
I mean, do you have...
Girl, same.
Yeah, I know, right? You gotta work.
The hoodie on. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have one photographer that shoots you, or do you ever use tripods? Because I feel like a lot of new bloggers, they end up with the tripods.
I don't use a tripod. I have maybe 5 or 6 photographers that I work with, rotate them in and out, nice. Depending, one for night, one for day, one for video, etc. I know that there are some influencers who are cool with iPhone photos, but for me, I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I want the most high res, lush looking photo I can produce, and yeah, try to work with the best. I don't try to do everything myself. Yes. I definitely outsource to talented, qualified people. I recognize my strengths and my weaknesses. So.
There you go.
I mean, I feel like it's honestly safe to say Fashion Bomb Daily is one of the leaders of the pack. I think so. So, how do you stay ahead of the game? I know at one point it was kind of, I feel like it seemed a little tricky because there were so many different fashion blogs popping up left and right. How do you and your team stay ahead of the game for what we're touching now, almost 2 decades?
I think it's about always remaining open to doing new things and also having that exclusive content. Mm-hmm. A huge part of our brand, which some of my team members don't really like, is the fact that we are so interactive with our readers. If they come to us and they ask a question, we answer it. And to my knowledge, I really haven't seen another page do that, where they don't just do whatever they want to do from an editorial point of view, but they mix in what the readers want. We are very consumer driven, and we value every single person who reads Fashion Bomb Daily. So we want to treat them on the same level of esteem as we would any celebrity or any A-list or anything like that. Right. And I think for me, I'm always open to doing interviews, doing reels, doing TikTok. Now I'm on Clubhouse, which I absolutely do not like, but I'm like, fine, I'll do Clubhouse.
I hate it.
I've been on 2 Clubhouses this week. I am so over it, but and I'm like, please Clubhouse, just go away. But it doesn't seem to be going away. So, I remember when Twitter first came out, and I had this friend that's like, try Twitter. And I was like, okay. And then Instagram came out. I did that. I've been on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok as much because I know Reels is competing, and I do like Reels on Instagram, but always be open to doing new things and also getting new contributors. As much as it seems as if I do everything by myself, I don't. And we have 5 contributors who update Fashion Bomb Daily's social media basically around the clock. And I try not to micromanage, even though I am a perfectionist, but allow people to have their own ideas, allow people to sometimes make mistakes, just allow people to be free to express themselves, but don't be so beholden to one way of doing things or one way of saying things, but always being open and flexible to try in order to scale and grow.
Like, can you elaborate a little bit more? Because I've noticed, as well as experience, when we're solopreneurs, we have our baby that we've, been nursing and nurturing from the inception. And now that it's grown to a point where we have a team, we have staff, and you don't want to lose that control, but you need fresh eyes sometimes. Can you elaborate maybe like a situation where, okay, hey, me as Claire, I know what works, but this idea that my staff member is bringing in, it could work. Let's see if it works. Was there like a situation like that?
I can't think of a specific situation, but I can say that it happens every day. And there's really nothing on Instagram or a website that you can't edit, you can't archive, you can't delete, so if I really hate it, I'll take it down. But you have got to, that is number one. If you want to grow your business, you have to be able to trust those people that you hire to execute your vision, and, learn how to give them constructive criticism, learn how to mix praise with some detailed instructions, learning how to be a leader. I'm a work in progress always, but you have to let go of your baby. And at this point, we'll be celebrating 15 years. So Fashion Bomb Daily is, is that a tween? I don't know. She's grown, what a
teenager.
She's about to start driving the car.
It's her quince year. Okay.
Yeah, it's her quinceañera. So she can do some stuff without me, and I prefer it that way. I'm weird about my age, but I recently celebrated my 40th birthday, and I'm just thinking, what do you want? Do you want to be doing this when you're 50? I don't know. I don't really think so. So you just have to think about ways that you can start to let go a little bit and allow younger, newer, fresher talent start to contribute and start to take over.
I mean, you've clearly adapted to the new formats, right? The Instagrams, the TikToks, etc. But from a monetary side, how does that translate? Because I think when people are on your actual blog, on your URL, there's ad space, there's almost more control. But how do you convert something like Instagram into something that's still monetary?
So it's definitely necessary to think of ways to monetize. And we have been able to diversify our streams of income. So we have regular advertising. We have advertising on our website and advertising on Instagram. I'm a brand ambassador, so I do my thing. But I think the game changer for us was Fashion Bomb Daily Shop, which is an e-commerce platform that we launched. We created it in 2016, but we really started to put some gasoline to the flame in 2018. And it is our marketplace for emerging multicultural designers. We market them, we help them with placements, and we basically just use our platform to help them scale and grow their business. But I think going into selling products or creating an e-commerce platform, that is a natural extension of having a fashion brand. We've had different events, Convos with Claire. Olivia's DJ'd at Convos with Claire. But, we just have to think of different ways whether it's in real offline, online, e-commerce, ambassadorships, advertising. Just think of how many different ways can you slice this apple, and then just go for it and put all your energy towards it.
I mean, when it comes to e-commerce, I'm definitely an e-commerce guy. I think a lot of brands saw an increase since the pandemic started, 20-30% year over year growth. Did you see an uptick in 2020 once the pandemic hit with the e-commerce side?
We did. Yeah. Our e-commerce is going strong. Thank you. And even though people don't have anywhere to go, they're still ordering, they're still asking where their stuff is. We're like, you're not going anywhere, so calm down. But we love everybody who shops with us, and all of our designers. We're signing new designers every month now. So it has been nice. one of the greatest things, because something that we do at Fashion Bomb, we'll tell you where to buy anything anywhere, Louis Vuitton, et cetera, et cetera. So we're like, you can buy some of the stuff on our marketplace, and the goal is to be on par with Saks or Net-a-Porter one day.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you've built, even though you've built a very reputable brand in the fashion industry, in the fashion blogging industry, do you, and I feel like I know the answer to this, do you feel like you still face adversity as a Black woman in these spaces?
I think that, yes. However, my perspective on it has changed. And it's similar to how I was trying to work at XYZ Fashion Magazine, and it didn't happen. So I had to create my own fashion magazine. I no longer seek validation, acceptance, congratulations from people that they just, if they don't see it for me, then God bless them. It's your loss. But my definition of success is no longer attached to outside validation at all. I know that, and I believe that my mission is to push the culture forward. It's to help people. It's to expose people to more positive aspects of our culture that, you might not see on other websites. And I think as long as I'm doing that and making a living from it, and I'm happy with that, then the fashion industry, it really doesn't matter. It really does. And especially now, it's like everything's online. Absolutely everything. We don't even have Fashion Week. So, whose validation am I truly seeking? Right. Yes, there are still issues. Thankfully, now the industry is more open to having these discussions. And I'm sure you guys saw the other day, Women's Wear Daily is now asking where are the Black designers on the red carpet of the Golden Globes. This is something that we talked about 3 years ago with the Black Panther premiere. But now people are paying attention now that it's on Women's Wear Daily. But that's neither here nor there. But, the industry is changing. And I hope that it's going to be a permanent change, and it's not just a trend or a flash in the pan. So I think there'll be a lot more opportunities to make a positive change overall. But honestly, if I do it just for one person, then I've done my job.
Now, to be honest, I think there was probably a point, maybe I was, under a rock somewhere, but the first time I actually heard the name Claire Sulmers was when my wife told me you had lost your Instagram handle. And I actually lost mine at the same time, around the same time, maliciously. So, I mean, what exactly happened in your scenario where you didn't have control of your URL and your handle?
Long story short, not every picture that you repost on Instagram, you are able to do so. There are some pictures that XYZ celebrity may post. They post it. There's no photographer credit or anything. But once you do some digging, then you find out that it belongs to a big photo agency. And to pay to use it would be, let's say, $750. But wow. if you don't pay that, then you open yourself up to copyright infringement. And so imagine not knowing this and doing this for a long time. So that's basically what happened. Several photos that we posted were reported and our page was taken down. But thankfully, we were able to negotiate with this agency and pay them a settlement, and then we got our page back. But it was a huge, huge, huge learning lesson. And something, other pages, I see them posting these photos that I know belong to a paparazzi agency, and I'm like, take it down. This happens with designers as well.
Yeah.
I'm not telling them take it down because I'm trying to hate, but I'm trying to save them.
Help you out. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Avoid the situation you were in.
Correct. And they don't listen. They just post it. And I do believe it happens if you post like several, but you don't even want to open yourself up to that. And so as much as you can, if it's a super slick photo, and now you can recognize which photos, they're normally the ones with them celebrities walking outside. It's not like their iPhone photo, but just look for the photo credit. It's not enough just to credit the photographer. It is not enough to credit the photographer. There are some photos that you have to pay for. And the 750 number, that was actually a number that I was quoted for a picture of Kim Kardashian. So it happens a lot. It happens a lot with the Kardashians and celebrities of that ilk, Beyonce as well. But I was like, oh, because a reader will send in the photo and you don't even know where it's from. And a reader asked where she got this dress. And then I had to do some digging and found out where it was from. And they're like, okay, $750. And I was like, no, ma'am, I'm not paying $750 for a picture of Kim Kardashian. I'm sorry. Like, reader, I'll just let you know. And we're not posting that photo. But imagine not knowing and then being liable for that afterwards. So that's basically what happened. But I'm really, really grateful that we were able to get our page back because, it was awful. It was a really, really awful time. People do treat you differently when you have 0 followers versus 1.5 million. It was literally the most awful thing that could ever happen. But I'm really glad to be on the other side of that with all the lessons. And during that time, we launched Fashion Bomb Daily Shop, which is now booming. So everything ended up working out in the end.
When I think of Fashion Bomb Daily, I think of luxury. Who wore what that person is wearing. You're going to hear the luxury brands. You're going to hear the emerging designers like Samantha Black, like Ugo Mosey. Those were the names that we heard constantly on Fashion Bomb Daily. So with the surge of Pretty Little Thing and Fashion Nova, the fast fashions, what are your thoughts on those?
Well, people need options for all budgets. Yeah. And not even on our site, but on our site, our readers very frequently say, where's the Fashion Nova version? Where's the Pretty Little Thing version? Like, they don't want to spend $200, $300, but it's like a different sort of customer. Some people are in that $20 range. Some people are in the $200 range. Some people are in the $2,000 range. So Fashion Nova certainly offers options for every woman. And, one great thing, I know that people kind of hate on Fashion Nova, but Fashion Nova supports so many influencers. They advertise with us. Do. Like, they're putting money back into our community. And so I know that brands like Pretty Little Thing and Fashion Nova have been accused of copying and knocking items off. Zara does the same thing, and everybody shops at Zara. You're going to be knocked off if you're great, and you just have to keep creating. It's just one of those things with being in a creative field. You just have to keep creating. But, I can't speak on the environmental costs or the labor situation, but I think just superficially speaking on them, they have a large market. I heard a statistic once, and don't quote me on this, but like 70% of online purchases are $20 or less, something like that. So they're kind of killing it. So can't hate on it.
let's go to the Fabi Awards, because the Fabi Awards, the first one was in December of 2019. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I love that idea, considering the fact that, you know, we've had Fashion Bomb Daily all these years and we've seen so many different iconic looks. We've had so many moments with different designers, different stylists, and to really bring Fashion Bomb Daily to life with this award ceremony is just the perfect marriage. So from it to go to a physical event, you know, how has the pandemic affected it now? Considering in 2019 was the first one, and 2020, we all know what happened. What's the Fabi Awards looking like at this point in time?
So we had a virtual ceremony. Mm-hmm. We had some of the winners, including Wendy Williams, Monica, Lele, etc. Hanifa, she won an award. They either sent in videos or dialed in with us, and we recorded their acceptance speeches. It was kind of a relief to not have a physical event, just because you know the logistics of a physical event, yes, A, and B, like the expense of a physical event, like, right. You know, so to be able to interview and get acceptance speeches from people in the comfort of my living room from my computer, I was like, this is great. But, you know, hopefully for this year, we can have one in person. I think it's important. When I was coming up in the fashion industry, and even now, there are no events for us. Everything is invite only. There's really nothing that celebrates us, and particularly gives credit to those people behind the scenes, the best stylists. Wendy Williams, love her or hate her, she looks great on her talk show. And so does Tamron Hall. And now I believe Tamron won an award with In Style or something like this. But this is our way. Even with, for example, DJ Envy and his wife Gia, they've been nominated every year for Most Fashionable Couple. So that's something where we know that DJ Envy and Gia, they have a great style. Gia clearly loves fashion. Vogue, their loss, might not ever feature a couple like that because maybe it's too niche, or I don't know. But DJ Envy and the Breakfast Club, that is a huge part of our culture. Right. So that's just one example of how we acknowledge those people in our community who are making moves in the fashion industry. So fingers crossed we have an actual one this year.
Now, you mentioned Convos with Claire earlier, right? As an event series going on, and you've done a ton of different interviews there, and even with Revolt. I mean, what have been, if I could ask you to pinpoint your top 3 personal favorite guests that you've interviewed?
I loved interviewing DJ Mustard for Revolt. DJ Mustard is just one of those people you would never maybe pin him to loving fashion, but he had like the new Louis Vuitton Supreme pieces, and he pulled up in a Rolls, and we sat on top of his car for the interview. I was like, this is so cool. I loved interviewing Karrueche as well, and I interviewed her before she blew up. I think that was probably one of her first interviews. So that was great. And who else? I mean...
Yeah, one more.
One Convos with Claire that sticks out to me was one where we did an award ceremony, and Tiana Taylor came. This was like the pre-Fabbies, basically. Okay. But Tiana Taylor came, Tracy Reese was there, Drea Michelle was there, and I think that was really a special moment. So...
Yeah, I like those 3. I do.
Did you come to that one?
I know I definitely came to I remember the one with Karrueche.
Okay.
That I remember because it was around the time I approached her. I was like, can I take a picture with you? Because she's so pretty and she's so cute and petite in person. So she was like, okay, you know who I am? Okay. But I remember the one Karrueche. I'm trying to think. Yeah, the Karrueche one, I definitely know I was there for that one. I actually have an interesting question for you. As a New York girl, this is a tough one, but how do you balance the love life and the career?
That's so funny. Well, I know people probably think I'm like a eunuch, but I do have a boyfriend. I've had one for several years. Okay. It's very interesting, and we work together. He helps me with several different awesome. Aspects of the business, and helps a lot with the shop. But I'm not the type of person to put anything super personal on my Instagram. And he doesn't really like social media, which is interesting. Like he is actually completely averse to it. And so, which is interesting because I'm all about it, but it balances and it works out. But
it works because you're not putting your personal life on there. So you guys are one and the same. You just using for work.
Right.
It works perfectly.
Yeah, but I'm booed up and very happy. And I make sure that I always make sure that I have a balance. Like I can't work all the time. I'm actually going to Atlanta in the morning. I'm gonna go see my mom real quick, make time for family, make time for friends, make time for love. You can't work all the time. You'll drive yourself crazy. So the balance is extremely important. And certainly when my Instagram page was down, you just learn who's really there for you at the end of the day. And the only people who are really there for you at the end of the day are your friends and family. So you got to make sure you take care of those relationships.
Now, I got a big question for you. Will Fashion Bomb Daily ever go to a print format?
I don't think so. However, I am working on kind of a big project that will be equivalent to that. It'll be kind of like a collector's edition. But
a book maybe of Claire?
Just something. That's a little something. It's just
exclusive.
Oh no. Oh my God. My boyfriend's always like, you tell people, he's always like, you can't hold water. And I'm like, oh my God.
No, I literally just thought of that because I'm just like, just your aesthetic on your Instagram. You've been taking these amazing photos for years, these amazing looks for years. So it only makes sense for you to have your own coffee table lookbook of Claire. Like it just makes all the sense. That's not even idea. Yeah.
Okay. But no print. We actually tried to do a print magazine sometime last year, and we were looking for advertisers, and they were like, "Nah, I'm good." So I'm like, okay, but it's really over for print. I think, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think just refining our digital presence, and we have an app actually. It's a few months old, but you can find it in the App Store. Just type in fashionbombdaily.com. Mm-hmm.
So one of the challenges I personally faced was writing a book. It's a very short book, but I wrote a book about 2 years ago on, self-love. So with The Bomb Life being out for some time now, are you feeling pressured for book number 2? Are you finding the time between the balance of work and the love life and the family to devote to book number 2 right now?
Yeah, I'm working on book number 2 for sure. But before I wrote the first book, I told myself that I wanted to reach a certain milestone, and I hadn't reached it yet. But my mom, she was like, just write. And I was like, okay. So for this second one, I do want to reach a certain milestone before I write it, but it'll probably, The Bomb Life sequel will probably be my 3rd book. But right now I'm working on the special project that I discussed for Fashion Bomb Daily. So
gotcha.
Long story short, yes.
The people are waiting.
Yes.
Okay.
No pressure. No pressure. I mean, with the amount of work and sacrifice you've had to put through, kind of just endure all these years, are there ever moments where you even regret Fashion Bomb Daily and you think, I could have done things differently, I could have been living a different life?
No, there's literally is not a moment that I am not grateful for everything. Fashion Bomb Daily has been the biggest blessing. It has been the biggest blessing to me. And it's something that started off as a hobby. I turned it into a business, and it's such a strong business that it's able not just to support me, but I also have a staff of people that I'm able to support as well. So there's literally never a day that I don't thank God for this path, and I am very eager to see what else is in store. So
there you go.
So in terms of the fashion industry now as a whole, we've seen so many changes within the past 5 years only of just being front row fashion shows. Everybody wants to be there to, the fashion industry is kind of dying, and then the pandemic happens. So where do you see the fashion industry going in the next 5-10 years? Like, do you have any foresight, considering, you're one of the pioneers in terms of fashion going to these social media spaces?
I'm not really I can't tell the future, but right. I do believe that everything will be online like it is. And I don't know what the next iteration of Instagram will be. I think a lot of us are fearful, like, what's next after Instagram? Like, I don't really know what that next big platform is. And we're all so tied and devoted and committed to it. But we saw this year with this past fashion week how so many of these fashion houses are basically doing their whole fashion show on Reels, or in a series of videos, and the productions that used to cost at least minimum $50,000 and up are now significantly reduced. I think from an economic standpoint, it only makes sense to downsize. I think, and we've even seen, Bergdorf Goodman, and it was Barney's that completely shut down, and all these other department stores are declaring bankruptcy. So I just see the trend continuing towards everything being 100% online, and we'll be here for that.
I even have to speak to just the new releases that are happening. I mean, I saw the Christian Louboutin video yesterday with the whole airplane and the airport vibe. What's been your favorite one that you've seen for the new fashion season in regards to these new commercials?
I love Balmain. Balmain is one of my favorite.
In terms of your growth as, a fashion maven, let's call a spade. You've had the guidance of a Ty Hunter, and for those who don't know who Ty Hunter is, a fashion stylist, most notably known for creating a lot of the most iconic looks for Destiny's Child and Beyonce. So, having a mentor like him or any other mentor that you've had, what was the biggest piece of advice that you've received that you've always held on to on your journey to success?
One of I love Ty, and he's wonderful, 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 and has been a great advocate. But one of my pieces of advice was actually from an executive at my first job, and she sent me a book while I was in Paris. It's called "It's Not How Good You Are, It's How Good You Want to Be." And in the beginning of the book, she simply wrote a note that said, "Keep on keeping on." And I was like, that was it.
Simple.
I have been around in this blogging game since the days of Concrete Loop, Cake and Ice Cream, when Media Takeout was popping, the YBF. I don't know if you guys remember these. I'm sure you do.
Natasha from YBF. Yep.
I was on Concrete Loop every day.
Right. And we've continued to, by God's grace, stay competitive, even with now it's the Shade Room. Now it's, And so I think it's just the resilience and just a refusal to, no matter how hard it gets, no matter what happens, a refusal to quit. And sometimes it's not about who finishes, it's about who finishes last, like who's going to keep the light on. And I would never have thought 15 years in, I would still be updating the website on a Sunday at 12:30 a.m. But I'm doing it, and I'm doing it because I love it, and I'm doing it because I see that it's bigger than me. It's beyond me right now. So That's it. Keep on keeping on.
Yeah, keep on keeping on. So would that be the same advice that you give to the up and coming fashion mavens 2021 and beyond? Is it just keep on keeping on, or is it keep on keeping on, but a tech oriented added onto that? Like, is there something else that you would add on in terms of that advice?
Just watch the trends and go where the customers are. Don't be too wed to one platform. I've seen a lot of my colleagues in the blog space be kind of late to Instagram because they wanted people to go back to the blog. They didn't want to put all their information on Instagram, and they missed out on a great opportunity. So for me now, even with, I'm not on TikTok that much, but even with Clubhouse, I'll do it. I will do it. I'll go on Clubhouse and maybe I'll click on after this and join a room. I probably won't. But, be open, see what people are doing and try it. Just try it and continue to perfect, continue to get better. I know that my style has evolved. My hair has evolved. My photos have evolved. Everything has evolved. And that's for me being open to looking at myself critically and being like, how can you get better? What are your colleagues who you admire? What are they doing? And how can you do that in your own way? But always being open to changing and tweaking and refining, cutting out any bad habits that you have and putting them to the side and embracing discipline. Like, these are all little things that I've learned over the years. So don't keep on keeping on doing the same thing, but keep on keeping on and continue to evolve in a positive direction.
Yeah. Speaking of evolving, and you mentioned your hair evolving when you had the platinum blonde locks. I mean, that was signature Claire. Was that an opening to a new chapter when you got rid of the locks? Like, was there a story behind that?
Yeah, the story was that I got a really bad dye job. My hair was two-toned. To me, it didn't look sophisticated. I dyed my dreads from blonde to red, and the color didn't take. So it was kind of looking like yarn up there. And I went to Neil Farina, who does Beyonce's hair, and he cut my hair off. And I initially thought that because I had blonde dreads, I could go to blonde hair. And blonde dreads is not the same as like a blonde wig. It just is not the same. But I was so attached to this color, and I was like, oh yeah, the color looks great on my skin. And I knew nothing about weaves, wigs, none of that, lace. And it is a whole nother lexicon. It is a whole nother drawer of products. It is literally a whole nother thing.
Absolutely.
And after having locks I had locks for 15 years, I believe. I don't know if I'm just clinging to that number, but I had it for a really long time. And so imagine, I didn't even have a comb, and people are some of my close friends, my friends now, when they look back, because when I look back on those days, I'm like, y'all couldn't tell me. You know what I'm saying? But they were like, it didn't look that bad. And I'm like, y'all, I look crazy.
What are you seeing? Because I'm one of those friends then.
There are pictures. Now I know. I know my strengths, your weaknesses. So now I know if you're going if you're going on TV, if you're going anywhere where you're taking pictures, unless you're wearing a hat and you can get away with it, you need to get it done. You need to get it done by a professional, schedule that. But
Understood.
I thought you could just slap it on and just whatever. I just didn't know. So there are some pictures where I'm just like, oh my God. But then it was one day I was working with a new hair company and they sent me a black wig. And I was like, let me try this. And so I had it installed properly and I took a picture and the comments were crazy. And then I took a poll and people were like, you need to do black, don't do blonde. And I was like, well, how about, I was like, well, how about this picture? They were like, black.
No, black. Black. We love it.
And then it was about finding the right hairstylist. Now I work with with a hairstylist. His name is Theo Barrett. He's done Wendy Williams' hair, Nene Leakes, Cynthia Bailey, the Angela Simmons, the list goes on and on and on. So finding the right person, and this was all a journey. And this was all like some being self-critical. Sometimes my friends didn't tell me, shame on them. Some of it was just, happenstance and luck. But it has brought me to where I am today. And I think it's important, I did get a lot of criticism, or some people who are very wed to the locks because it was my signature look. But, if you're in fashion, you have to try different looks, and you have to evolve. You can't have the same look all the time. I think maybe in Anna Wintour's age, she's still around, and she has like her signature cut, and that's great. But as a young Black woman who is hopefully inspiring and has other young Black women and women of color who are looking at her, you switch it up. Look at Rihanna's hair. Look at Sierra's hair. All of them switch up their hair constantly.
Everybody
True.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because hair, especially for us Black women, is so important. It is an accessory. It is a fashion moment. You can have the best outfit on, but if your hairstyle isn't matching that, it's over. It's like, what did you do? Why did you leave the house? So that's why I wanted to bring up your own hair journey, because that is a part of your fashion. So thank you for sharing, because we do love the Black. I'm speaking for everybody else on the block too.
Thank you. And then once I switched to the Black, then I got the comments. Yeah. Somebody was like, they were like, no, the blonde wasn't working, but we didn't have the courage to tell her. And I was like, wow, they will not tell you, but you have to be able to look in the mirror and be like, okay, how can I get better? How can I improve? And be open and willing to try it. And if it helps get you to, a higher level.
Yeah, so. But that's the beauty of trial and error, being human and seeing what works. I mean, we all do it. We all try it out and see if it works for us. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And then once you get it right, you got it right.
That's dope. That's dope every week.
Yes.
New hairstyle every week.
Every week.
I mean, I'm honestly, I'm not like some girls who have a blue hair this day and green hair, but I do believe that working with wigs and weaves, you can try short, long,
Absolutely.
bangs, whatever. So it is a little bit more creative than just the locks. And I've seen where the locks have left their impression. So I think the job's done there.
Now, I mean, speaking about the younger women that you inspire, have you ever thought about a scholarship fund for fashion designers? Maybe like the Fashion Bomb Daily Fund?
Totally. Yeah. And this year is actually the year that we're just starting to get familiarized with the funding space and raising money and actually establishing a business. And I'm so excited to one day I will be excited to talk about this process, because the whole idea of like raising money or funding, getting funding, and then being able to secure a fund for others, it's a whole another world that a lot of us are not even privy to. And so I'm excited to one day share my knowledge, but the goal is certainly, right now we have our shop, which, the designers get most of the money. The money goes to them. So that's our way of giving back. And we did have a Next Bomb Designer contest in December. It was sponsored by Shea Moisture, but we gave $10,000 away to the winner of a contest. We had hundreds of applicants. We chose 5. Awesome. They showed in a virtual fashion show, and our readers voted on their favorite. So that's something that we just started, but we would love to expand that this year.
Okay. Now, Claire has given our audience a ton of insight this episode. We appreciate you, but now we aren't letting you go without a lightning round. So You're going to let us know, out of the 2 fashion powerhouses, which one is better?
Okay.
All right, Blue, you can start first.
We're gonna go right there with Gucci Group versus LVMH.
I guess LVMH.
Okay. I'm gonna go celebrity now. For men, Usher or Michael B. Jordan?
Usher.
Got you. You my girl. Okay.
Usher has hits on hits, honey. Hits on hits.
He don't miss.
Nice and slow. I mean, nice and slow alone. And then new thing. You can be my baby. I love that song. Is that new thing? I don't remember. But you know the song I'm talking about, right? No, you don't.
The tune is kind of there.
It's him, Chris Brown.
I know it, but I can't think of the name of the song. I don't know why.
I don't know either. But next one. Andre 3.
New Flame.
New Flame. Not New Thing, New Flame.
That song is amazing. And that's just one of many Usher songs, so Usher wins. Okay. Sorry.
No problem. Andre 3000 or CeeLo Green?
Andre. Outcast all day, every day.
All right. I wanna go fashion-wise with this one. Is it Destiny's Child or is it TLC?
Destiny's Child.
Yeah, I agree.
Best chicken and waffles in the ATL. Where is it?
Old Lady Gang. I don't know.
Old Lady Gang?
Girl, I don't know either.
I'd say Old Lady Gang.
I used to really like Gladys Knight's joints.
Oh yeah, that's
really
good too.
I'm gonna have to try the Old Lady Gangs though.
Yeah, support Candy.
There you go.
What? All right, fine. I'm gonna try out Candy Spot. I was like, I don't know about that one, but I'll try it out. Okay.
Candy is an inspiration. Like from a business standpoint,
absolutely.
She is a beast. So I'll support that any day, all day.
I hear that. New York or Paris?
New York.
Why is that?
Paris is aesthetically beautiful and it kind of ends there, whereas New York is a true melting pot. And as the song says, it is a concrete jungle where dreams are made of. Like you can make it here, and it doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter your race. If you are talented, and that's just about the United States too. If you're talented, you can make it here. And it's not necessarily the case in Paris. So NYC, baby.
All day, every day. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Baby Fat or Carl Kanai?
Carl Kanai, because I just love Carl Kanai. Carl Kanai is one of the nicest people I've ever met. And he's a legend. He's a humble legend. He is so iconic. And you know what? I love Baby Fat. Kamorley Simmons, I was obsessed with her in the 2000s. Who wasn't? I bought her book, Fabulosity. I still have it. I read it so much the cover fell off of it. But there's something to be said for somebody who truly gets it out the mud. And Carl Kanai did that. Like he started, he was getting his clothes tailored and everybody loved his clothes. And then he started his brand and got it placed on Tupac and Biggie and all these people. Like he started from the bottom and he made history by, with no outside help, and no hate to outside help. But like there's really something to be said from going from nothing to something. So Carl Kanai.
I want to go Stylist now. And I don't want you to feel like you got to play favorites or anything like that. I won't put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Jason Rembert or Rory Weiss?
Both. I love them both. I'm not going to choose.
she gave us a both. She gave us a both.
I'm not choosing.
Yes, because I love them both too, but I was just like, oh.
We're all in this industry together. And it is so small. And we have to be united. Like it can't be pitting one against the other. And they're both doing such amazing things in very unique ways. So I love them both.
Yeah. If the audience has a chance, please Google them, follow them on Instagram. Jason Rembert is styling the likes of Michael B. Jordan, Naomi Campbell, Marseille from Blackish. Like, he's doing it. Worry is every look that you've seen on her, she's killing it because of Rory. So,
and Andra Day also.
And Andra Day. Mm-hmm. Enough said. He's been styling her for years.
Worry was one of my first interviews. I used to do these interviews called Breaking Into Fashion. And I interviewed him when he was still working with Alicia Keys. Wow. And he has these pictures of him sitting front row with Alicia. And I remember just dying that somebody like him would interview with me. And Jason, I remember Jason Rembert from before Naomi, but obviously now I'm like 15 years in. But Jason Rembert has always been so supportive. I remember he came to the first Cocktails with Claire ever. I think I took video and he's on it. I'll find it somewhere. And you know what's crazy? Who emceed the video?
Who?
Daisy Llewellyn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Daisy Llewellyn.
May she rest.
May she rest in peace. Daisy Llewellyn went around with a videographer and she was interviewing different people at the first Cocktails with Claire. And I believe she interviewed Jason. So I have to dig that up and find it for you. But yeah, R.I.P. And when you think about somebody like Daisy, it's like life is too short.
The sweetest soul.
The sweetest, nicest, and so ambitious, you know, really, really gone too soon.
Yeah.
So
we gotta get post-pandemic again. So these events could start going on again.
Yeah. Right. They'll happen soon.
Yes.
We're working on a little something.
There you go.
Here.
Yeah.
Well, Claire, it's been cute.
I have a flight at 8 a.m. in the morning. This is going to be awful.
Big thanks again to Claire for coming through and blessing us with her story. I mean, she is the epitome of Black girl fashion magic, the real OG.
We'd also like to thank our listeners for all your support. We do the show with you in mind, and we are working hard, improving the show and bringing you awesome conversations.
Yep. Find us on Patreon at Blue Dope. That's patreon.com/BLUEDOPE. As a patron, you'll be privy to vintage and never before heard interviews, video content, music mixes from our very own Olivia Dope, potential shout outs on future episodes. Speaking of which, thank you very much, Cedric Bryson and Sylvain Francis.
Yes, many thanks to Cedric and Sylvain. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you.
One time for the MVPs.
Now, Blue Dope is an independent podcast, and this allows us to chat with anyone we choose without any politics involved. Your support is appreciated and needed for us to keep the indie as well as in your AirPods each and every single week.
I mean, we want to remind you to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcast, rate and review some of them 5-star things. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Every interaction moves us up the list and helps us to be found. Follow us on Instagram at Blue Dope TV. That's BLUEDOPE TV. Also, let us know what's on your mind. Email us info@bluedope.tv. This that Blue Dope, y'all.